All right, well, welcome to the Wonder Bros Pod. We are back.
Episode 5.
Episode 5. We are almost done with phase 1.
That's incredible.
Yeah. For the listeners hearing it, well, I guess they're going to hear it all at once too. We're releasing 3 episodes on the first day. So it's going to all happen really quickly. The first phase is not very long. Really. I mean, when you think about the other phases, like there's a lot more going on in the next phases. And so this one is just like, I've been thinking a lot about the story and how it all kind of plays together. And it's just kind of wild that they set up so much so quickly just to get us to the first Avengers movie. And it when I think back on my own, I think there was so much more that happened, but there really wasn't that much. Like they just really threw it all together and was like, okay, now we're jumping headfirst into the Avengers.
Right.
And we didn't really get the first hint that might be where we were headed until this movie, Captain America, the First Avenger.
That's right. Right there in the title. I have noticed, after having gone all the way through Infinity War and then the part of the multiverse saga that's already released, going back to these original movies, one of the things I have noticed is how little interconnection there is, right? It got very intentional. As you kind of move into the future, the future phases where you're like, oh my gosh, that's a callback to Iron Man 3, and then here's a callback to that, and oh my, they're setting up Kang, and they're setting, all of that really start to amp up. Probably, I make up in my head, it had that window right as Bob Iger was leaving for the first time at Disney, and so they brought in their other CEO who really wanted to push TV, and I can't remember his name. I'll have to look it up later.
Oh man, I just read this.
Yeah, he just got ousted. They just brought in a new guy at the top of Disney. But during that time, the idea was that, hey, we're gonna essentially saturate the market with television. We're gonna release these full feature movies. It's gonna be great. So they started just lacing everything together, and of course that kind of ran into a bunch of problems. There was no on ramp if you wanted to just start watching these movies.
Yeah, it's true. Well, and also too, like the more you learn, like for anybody wanting to read the book that we've been referencing so much, which I always forget the entire name of, it's MCU, the Reign of Marvel Studios. I don't know why I can't remember that. By Joanna Robinson, Dave Gonzalez, and Gavin Edwards. I forgot the first time I mentioned this in the first episode. I was just editing it, and I couldn't remember. I didn't put the third name in there, so very sorry, Gavin.
Yeah, we were very grateful for your work, Gavin.
Yes, all of you together, the trinity of storytelling for Marvel, is what gave me the idea for this show to begin with. So
fantastic.
It's great. But I was just reading I was kind of rereading through, because the first time I read through it, I read it on an ebook, and then I lost the ebook. I've been very devastated by it ever since, because it was great. I went back and reread through. I've been rereading through the physical copy of it, and I just read this chapter that kind of pertains to what we're talking about, and talks about Bob Iger and how he came through and like how he kind of won everybody over. We've kind of talked a little bit about that, or have we? I guess we not really. This is kind of when it all started to really happen in chronological order. Is around the time that Captain America was happening, and I didn't actually put this in my notes, so I'm just gonna fully freestyle it, but. Essentially Bob Iger just went through and basically was like, he had just bought Pixar, and he had talked Steve Jobs into selling Pixar to him, which was a whole thing. And basically Steve Jobs do you know anything about this story?
Keep going.
So he basically invites him out to California and says, why don't you just come sit in a meeting? And so then he makes Bob sit in a room with all of his board of people over Pixar, and they did a pros and cons list together with Bob in the room of why they should or shouldn't sell. And by the end of it, they sold.
That's very Steve Jobs.
It's very Steve Jobs.
It's like, if there's going to be some shit to talk about, we're going to do it in public.
Yeah, we're doing it all together.
Yeah, in front of your face.
Yeah, we're going to hash it out
That's
right now. Make you answer for it in real time.
That's right.
And then...
Which I'll tell you, as a salesman, I love that.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, when somebody says, I pitch something in front of them and they go, oh, great, let me think about it. I want to run this by my dad and my aunt and several uncles, and then I'll come back to you. And I go, real quick, I don't have to be at Thanksgiving dinner with them. So if they're going to call anybody an idiot, let them call me an idiot. How about we just get them all in the room?
Right, yeah.
Ask every question you want. I'm confident enough in what I'm doing.
And if you can't answer it, you're also confident enough in being like, I don't know.
You don't know the answer to that question. Yeah,
I'll have to find the answer to that for you.
Again, I guess all that is like, kudos to Bob Iger for taking that challenge on.
Yeah, for sure. So Bob Iger then moves on. He's trying to figure out how to expand his Disney reach, and and a lot of the complaints with Pixar. At Pixar about Disney acquiring them was like, oh, well, that's going to ruin, they're going to Disneyfy it. It won't be Pixar anymore. They won't be able to stay autonomous. And that was one of the deals that Bob actually really wanted, was for Pixar to stay separate. And through this story, I really, I remember thinking when this movie came out and remember hearing about Disney's acquisition of Marvel that I thought the exact same thing everybody else did, which was like, we're screwed. Like, they're going to ruin all of the Marvel characters. Yeah. Like, we're finally getting off the ground with some good Marvel movies, and I just can't imagine a world where RDJ's Iron Man lives in Disney. Just couldn't think of it at the time. And that was that was Disney's own setbacks or like reservations for picking up Marvel. And they ended up, it was, what's his name? Ike Perlmutter, the old man in the high castle for them. And you got to think, like, Ike, we didn't really talk a lot about him, but he's quite the story by himself. And I think that plays into this conversation a little bit, which is that he started out like streets of New York selling toys.
Wow.
And became a billionaire.
Yeah. Crazy.
And I think he always probably saw that Marvel was going to be like his way to make money so he could buy other companies. And he turned Marvel around from bankruptcy to what it was becoming, right? And so I think that there was a lot to be said about what he did, and I'm sure he was like, I don't want another company, another billionaire, another corporation coming in and taking what I've built, and so he was a little hesitant to sell, and so Bob flew out. He saw him. He went to his office, which I think was in New York at the time, and. I think we talked about it in the first episode. If we didn't, I want to mention it now, that when Iron Man's first, just to paint a picture of how Ike was and how a lot of billionaires are, I feel like, when they did the premiere, he wanted to only have potato chips at the premiere party.
You mentioned that.
Yeah. So when Bob muses that when he went to meet Ike in his office, he remembered walking in and it felt very Spartan, very like bold and big and simplistic, but very masculine, very dark. I imagine like a Bond villain. It'd be like a big stone desk you walk into, or marble.
Who was the villain in Deuce Bigelow?
Deuce Bigelow.
You remember what I'm talking about? Like he walks into the guy's house and he's got like weapons hanging on the wall everywhere, and they're like medieval weapons.
I'm going to be straight up with you. I haven't thought about that movie in about 25 years.
Okay. But that was immediately what I thought about. You said a Bond villain, like a comically villainous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like Dr. Evil's lair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
I really
Dwight Schrute's desk when he takes over as manager.
That's right.
the unofficial times.
I really hope one of the Wonderkin inside the Discord corrects me on all that and it's like, actually, that guy's name is such and such, and here's why.
Maybe nobody goes back that far to the movie Deuce Bigelow.
They're
Male gigolo.
What happened? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there was this guy named Charlie Chaplin, and after that, there was this guy named Rob Schneider, and there's nothing that happened in between.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm kidding.
So it's really holding him up on a pedestal there. He was basically given like some refreshments when he walks in, which was Kirkland water, Kirkland bottled water from Costco.
Shout out to Costco. Yeah, that's right.
And I think it was like, I can't even remember. It was like some nuts or something. It was like basically nothing. I can't remember. Oh, it was a banana and a Kirkland bottle of water. That's what it was. Because Ike, to that point, still went with his wife to search for the best deals at Costco every weekend. So that's the kind of guy he is. That's why trickle down economics doesn't work. And so Bob very quickly realized after having a conversation, this wasn't going to be a pop, throw me in the room to the wolves and we're going to, do it on a dry erase board, right? So he immediately was like, okay, so we're going to go to dinner. And he basically, for the next couple of times that he met with him, tried really hard not to talk about Marvel at all. And Disney acquiring him. He just got to know him. And he was still super hesitant. He walked away from it, and Bob Iger called his good old buddy Steve Jobs and said, hey, I need your help with this. And Steve, famously never read a comic book in his life, said, is this like, you really want this? Like, this is your next Pixar? And he said, yes, this is my next Pixar. And he said, I'll make a call. he called Ike and basically told him that he's a man of his word, that he did everything for Pixar that he said he was going to do, that he basically put them on the map and really helped them take off. And you got to keep in mind too, Steve Jobs had vested interest. He was the biggest shareholder of Disney at that point, thanks to the Pixar sale.
Yeah, that's right.
So there was some vested interest. There was some bias there, but it worked. Ike called back and said, Steve said all these things about you. I think it's a done deal. So he made it happen. And then, of course, then he went on to set his sights on Star Wars. Bob Iger's
acquisitions were incredible. I mean, he got 20th Century Fox, he got Lucasfilm, he got Pixar, he gets Marvel. I mean, just incredible.
And it was at this point that David Maisel was like, I love this. I'm in for it, except for when this happens, I'm out. Kevin Feige can handle it. And boy, did he.
He did a great job. That's right.
So him and Bob Iger, I feel like they've got to be good friends. Like they've got to have been working together because Bob's done a lot for Marvel in this time to help kind of pave the way for what, Kevin's vision was. But all that to say, when kind of coming back around to what you were saying earlier, I think that there was always a plan in Kevin's, in Feige's head about like where it was going to go and all the possibilities.
Yeah.
But I also think too that the thing that I've realized over time is over having these conversations, over reading the book and like just, learning in my own, because I love this behind the scenes story of how this massive, massive thing happened. Mm-hmm. And that it's always been kind of modular for Feige. Mm-hmm. Like everything can be changed and moved around. And we've seen that time and time again, even in these really, really tied together moments that it was always kind of in flux. It was always up in the air. And so it's kind of interesting to do that. So let's delve into this movie. Captain America, the First Avenger, came out in 2011. Mm-hmm. This is right before we met.
Yeah, I just moved here to Tennessee from Virginia Beach. Captain America was an interesting one for me. I thought it was going to be my favorite movie. And the reason why, as a kid, my favorite cartoon was G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
So you've got, I hate saying it like this, but you've got like this white blonde super soldier, super durable, intelligent, attractive.
Sure.
Like he's like America's golden boy. And I'm a kid, right? Like I'm a child watching G.I. Joe. I'm still a kid moving here in my early 20s.
Yeah.
Late 20s. Yeah, my 20s.
Yeah.
And so the whole thing, also the sort of self-sacrifice, right? We're talking about him jumping on you're not the guy that's going to lay on the wire. That comes up in Avengers, or where he jumps on the dummy grenade. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm like, this is the whole package. My grandfather served in World War II. I was in the Navy. I mean, I idolized this grandfather, hearing his stories of being in the South Pacific, watching these, ideas of like marching against Nazi Germany. I was like, dude, this is going to be awesome. And it was good. It certainly wasn't my favorite, but it was good. And so I did. I jumped into this movie. I didn't see it in theaters.
Okay.
I didn't start going to the theater to watch Marvel movies until after Thor 2.
Wait, really? So you didn't even see Avengers in theaters?
No, I didn't.
Wow,
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, it's, this is the only Phase 1 film set entirely in the past, in 1943.
Right.
So do you think that, like, does the period setting work for you, or do you feel like it was a distraction to the story? We're just going to kind of ease into this.
I did. I liked it. I thought that being inside of the sort of this entire new world, one of my favorite movies as a kid was Saving Private Ryan. Like, I really enjoyed this idea.
Saving Private Ryan as a kid? How young of a kid? I feel like it was kind of a tough movie, wasn't it?
Yeah,
maybe I'm thinking of Black Hawk Down. That one was a tough movie.
I never saw Black Hawk Down.
No.
But yeah, so I did see Saving Private Ryan. I guess as a kid, late teens, early 20s, it came out while I was in the military, I think.
Oh, okay.
Because I remember calling back to my grandpa going, I want to go to this movie with you. And he was in Texas and I was in Charleston. So that has to be 2002, 2003.
Yeah.
But I loved that movie. I loved what it meant. And so then, here now we've got a superhero movie with that similar setting. We're going to go behind enemy lines. We're going to have this sort of scrappy group of people who are going to make their way out. It did work for me. I think, and we'll talk about this later on in the fizzle, there were some elements that didn't.
Sure.
That I was like, I wish that didn't happen. But
I feel like we're going to be on the same page with some of these things.
Yeah, but as far as the setting goes, the storyline, the idea, the chemistry between Haley Atwell and Chris Evans, I thought it was great.
Sure.
It was really good.
Yeah. Palpable. Palpable.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was something I could swallow.
It's moving straight on from that. Let's never say that again.
Sure, you got exactly the joke I was trying to tell then.
I think we all did.
Okay. Do you have another question? Because I'll get stuck right here.
Yeah, let's just keep moving. So we've already kind of covered where you were in July of 2011, kind of moving here. And, Iron Man had been out for 3 years. You feel like you were invested enough in the MCU to care about the final piece before the Avengers at this point?
Short answer is no. I didn't know this was a thing.
Right.
Yeah. This is the premise of.
But you had seen Thor by the time you saw Captain America, right?
Yeah. By this time, I had seen Thor and Iron Man 1 and 2. I never watched the Hulk. I watched the Eric Bana version of the Hulk, but I didn't watch.
Sure. Yeah. That'll ruin anybody. And so I think we may have covered this before. I think maybe in the last episode, but I don't remember. So we're going to recap. Did you watch Thor way after it released or when it released?
That's when I actually watched when it came to streaming.
Okay, so it was later.
I did. I watched Thor like when it came to streaming. So I didn't really get into the theaters on these movies until much later. But I do remember kind of that one being one that I wanted to watch.
So a lot of all these movies, maybe even Captain America, had come out already by the time you saw Thor.
Yeah. Okay. So, and this is kind of backing up to the premise of why you and I are sitting at this table is that in a lot of ways these were parts of your childhood. You got to experience this.
Sure.
You were a native to this, and I'm a nomad.
Gotcha.
I kind of came in later.
Yeah.
And when I come into these stories, as I step into these stories, often, thankfully, I'm able to pick up on, oh yeah, that's a callback to this and that, and then I'll go, shout out to Eric Voss. I'll go look at New Rockstars and be like, oh, those are really great Easter eggs and that kind of stuff. So it's great.
Sure.
But I don't like immediately see this and go, oh wow, that's a thing, because I didn't grow up that way.
Mm.
So a lot of times when a new movie hits, I get the gift of being just immersed in a damn good story.
Yeah.
And then I get to find out all the cool stuff they did later, and then go watch it a second time and go like, oh, that's really cool.
Right.
And so I think one of the things I'm curious is to turn that question back to you and to go, was this where you were landing? Were you just like amped for Avengers and like, here's one more step, and then we're going to see the whole team? And these are people I've known since childhood.
I feel like Captain America I was not very excited about. Okay. And I think it was because Captain America was never really appealed to me as a child. And to be fair, it didn't appeal to anyone until this movie. I think that's why, is because it wasn't super marketable, or they didn't think that character was marketable because traditionally it hadn't been all the way back from when it was conceived in the comic books. Sure. It was, how do we make everybody like this guy that's overly American, and we can get into some of the details about that here in a second. But
originally unapologetically anti-Nazi propaganda. Unapologetically. This is, we need to show Captain America beating the Nazis. And let's make
Which is a tricky subject altogether.
Tricky always.
Yes.
And in
no matter what context.
In 2026, it makes it no less tricky.
Yeah.
Where we are politically.
Agreed.
So, and as a guy that fought in a war that I thought was unjust, so for me, like the Iraq War, I think that going into Afghanistan to find Osama bin Laden was the right call. Then invading Iraq to whatever it was that we thought we were going to do there, I think that was the wrong call. That's the war I fought in. So it makes sense to me.
It wasn't to find WMDs, I know that.
Well, that's what we were all told. Yeah, I don't know why we would ever think they would tell the truth to the enlisted guys, because then there's just way too many of us to keep in check. One of the things that was really important for me, as a guy that felt like I'd fought this unjust war, it makes sense to me that it'd be a really tricky character to sell in really any generation, because when you have a pro-war generation, they're not often engaging in, titillating entertainment. But whenever you have an anti-war generation, they tend to be a little softer and willing to engage more in these kinds of stories. And so suddenly, what generation does this make sense for? It's worth the process there to go, who was this ever for, except to communicate anti-war or anti-enemy. Well, like Captain America. Captain America needs another enemy. He needs somebody out there.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like kind of brings me to my next question, which is, well, I guess I didn't really answer the question. So Captain America for me was never really a character that was at the forefront. I remember in the cartoons and comic books, everybody focused so much on the main characters. And I mean, even in the Avengers, he wasn't in the comics. He wasn't a part of the original Avengers. He was found in ice, and they resurrected him through the ice. And that was actually a retcon because it was like a nod towards the fact that they basically put Captain America on ice because he wouldn't sell comics. So like all the way from the 60s, nobody liked Captain America. And so I think that I'm kind of in good company there.
That's right.
But, Steve Rogers is arguably the moral opposite of Tony Stark.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where this movie is kind of setting him up. So no ego, no flash, just character. And does that make him more or less interesting to you if you think about it in those terms?
I think that it makes me more... I want him on the team, but I'm not... He's going to be like the nerd in the back that I don't want to hang out with that much.
Yeah.
Like, we know we need him, but I don't... So yeah, right. Like you get like a group of people that are all doing stuff. You kind of want the charismatic guy out front. He's not.
Yeah.
But he is.
I don't know if this is going to be like way too off base, but like, so my wife Madison and I are watching Survivor. We watch Survivor every season. And there was just an episode where a player on there was aggravated at trying to work with another player because the other player wanted to play honestly and up front and just like say it how it is. And he goes, you can't play Survivor without lying. Like, I don't know why he's so mad at me about lying. Side note, he was mad at him because he lied terribly and got caught. But like, that's a whole other thing. But it's like, I feel like that's how you feel about Captain America. It's like, he's good to have on the team, but like, theoretically, but in real practice, we're going to have to do some sketchy shit every once in a while to get the job done. And now he's going to be the one who gets in the way.
Yeah, that's right. His moral compass is going to be situationally appropriate only most of the time.
Yeah.
There's going to be these moments where I'm going to need somebody to... War is messy. All conflict is messy. Everybody has their own reasons for joining the conflict.
Yeah.
And then to think that it's this purist idea that there's evil and there's good, and I'm good and you're evil. And so now I need to win.
Right.
That actually has not existed in maybe ever in war. Certainly, we only ever look backwards at war and decide that.
Right.
Like, we never are in a war deciding who's on the, we're like, I'm doing it for my reasons, you're doing it for yours. And the winner is going to be the one who writes history and says, we're the good guys.
Right. We all think we're the good guys in the moment.
Totally.
Right.
And so for me, his sort of unwavering, it's not his moral or ethical code. I love that. But part of the problem of rules is knowing when they can be bent, when there's gray area here, because we need to do something that really is going to be the right thing to do. I'm typically anti-violence. I'm not a pacifist. I've served in the military. I recognize the need that sometimes somebody has to push the button or pull the trigger.
Right.
I hate that. So somebody who says this was a trope probably in the 2010s. Like, it felt like every show on CW that they wrote, every one of those like soap opera-y shows, and I'll call them out, right? So Arrow, Vampire Diaries, all those, Supernatural, all of them.
Yep.
The moment one of the characters becomes a quote killer, he's now atrocious. He's pariah. Oh my gosh, he's a killer.
Right.
And you're like, okay, yeah, but sometimes you have to. And so that sense of
Captain America kills people.
So that sense of like moral high ground, like, man, we need him. He's a tank. He's super durable. He's heavy. He's got a shield. He's smart. He can do what he needs to do, but man, he shouldn't be in charge.
Yeah.
Because we're going to have to bend a rule, and he's not going to say yes to that.
Yep.
That's kind of where I land.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's do a quick little deep dive, if there is such a thing.
A quick deep dive
into kind of his comic book origins and where he came from.
Yeah,
Captain America Comics #1 debuted in March 1941 on newsstands in December of 1940. Created by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby for Timely Comics, which was before Marvel.
Wow.
So Captain America was truly the first Avenger. It was obviously a deliberate political act. Simon and Kirby were both Jewish and morally repulsed by Nazi Germany. They created Cap a full year before the U.S. entered World War II.
Yeah. Yeah.
Simon was quoted saying, "The opponents to the war were all quite well organized. We wanted to have our say too." So the cover of issue number 1 shows Cap punching Hitler in the jaw.
We get that scene in the movie.
Punch old Adolf in the jaw as he's on the base.
And then you get the guy that's like sneaking, and the scene where the dancers
and
he's
behind you.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Sold nearly 1 million copies, which is crazy back then.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
that's right.
Threats followed immediately. They got so many threats.
Sure.
New York mayor was behind them all the way, gave them police protection, which is crazy that got that much of a response.
Right.
The name almost didn't happen. Simon's first sketch had the character labeled Super American. Nope, didn't work.
That's right.
There were too many supers around, is what they actually said. Captain America had a good sound to it. There weren't a lot of captains in comics.
That's so funny. I'm immediately thinking about that scene in Deadpool where he's like, Deadpool. It's like, Captain Deadpool.
Yeah.
Just Deadpool.
Yep. Bucky Barnes was actually named after Simon's friend, Bucky Pearson,
a
star on his high school basketball team. And the round shield was a last-minute redesign. Kind of interesting. Did you know about this?
I did, yeah.
Original triangular shield looked too similar to I don't know what these in the different comics character, the Shield, looked too much like that, so they had to change it. But after the war, superhero popularity collapsed. Cap was discontinued in 1950. A short revival in 1953 failed, and he didn't return until the Avengers number 4 in 1964. Stan Lee and Kirby pulled him out of the ice, literally.
Fascinating that they got him out in the 60s. Because, I mean, that's a pretty notably anti-war, as far as the populace goes.
Patriotism was at an all-time high.
Really?
I mean, anti-war. I mean, there was or not patriotism, but the fight for freedom.
The fight for freedom. Okay,
and
sure.
in terms of also freedom of choice, freedom of speech.
That's right.
You
were
all
moving
of that
into the free love movement. All that was happening at that time.
So maybe that is why Captain America wouldn't have worked. They were he represented everything that was. He was like the poster child for war, for sure.
I do like that the writers in, or at least like in the Avengers movies and later on with Sam Wilson, Isaiah Bradley, this sense that Captain America does kind of have an opinion. To sort of go against what I earlier said about Captain America having his stance upon the hill upon which he dies every time.
Captain America had a troubled path to the screen to begin with, and maybe that's why I don't really remember him much from my childhood. Yeah. The character had been through 2 failed live-action attempts.
Have you ever seen any of the video of them?
Oh, yeah.
It's so awful.
They're awful. They're terrible.
It's awful for that time.
Did you see the 1979 movie? Or are you talking about the 90s TV show?
I'm talking about the 90s TV show.
Yeah. Or 90s theatrical film.
I've only seen clips online. Because it's always a joke. Somebody sends it like, is this the guy that you
They're both bad. They're both bad.
That's great.
Equally bad. Marvel could not make anything on TV to save their life before the MCU. I feel like it was just always never landed right. It's kind of like how DC struggled for so long to this day.
So there's a real conversation we need to have about wings on helmets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the moment he put that, even in the first Captain America, he puts that stupid ass cowl on the first when he's going on stage to go sell bonds.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is that tiny little penis looking thing hanging off the side of your head?
Right.
Like, oh, it's a wing. Okay. And you get this
makes sense.
Right, yeah. Great job, writers.
They gave him his wings.
That's right.
It just shows how fake the captain title actually was.
Exactly, right? Exactly. But you also see this later. Anytime the Flash has ever put on a cowl that's got got wings on it that look like lightning bolts, or I think the only person who's ever done it well is some of the Batmans. I think it's the only time I've seen
some of them. Yeah.
Right. Ornamentation on a helmet. To be even Thor 1, when he walks in, he's got his hat with the wings on it. He's got a helmet with the wings on it. He never puts that back on.
Yeah,
not until he puts it on for briefly in Ragnarok for the one fight with the Hulk, and then he takes it off.
Well, Thor, Love and Thunder, they wear the very ugly helmets.
Oh, that's right.
But that was by far his worst suit. So
Yeah.
we'll get there in a few episodes
Great.
down the line. Yeah, I think that, and there was actually a proper film being developed in 1997, but it stalled because of issues with a lawsuit between Marvel and Joe Simon on the copyright ownership. Okay. Because a lot of people don't know this, but Joe Simon and Jack Kirby who created Captain America, not Stan Lee. He's even Marvel has even accidentally miscredited him in print. And so it's they had to publicly apologize for it. It's a whole thing. So Marvel announced the film in 2008, immediately after Iron Man's success, originally slated for May 6th of 2011, before being pushed to July 22nd. Marvel's got this thing about moving dates. It drives me insane.
Keeps us on our toes.
Yeah. And Jon Favreau had previously discussed making Captain America as a comedy, like a fish out of water, similar to Elf, but chose Iron Man instead. Glad that happened.
Yeah.
Glad he did not do Captain America.
I think if he'd have picked that one over the other one, I don't think we would have had the MCU.
No. Yeah.
Because you'd had a great comedy. Favreau would have done a great job. If you made Elf in Captain America's universe, fine.
Sure, yeah.
Fine. Great movie. I'll watch it every Christmas.
Yeah.
But it's not a franchise.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and you think, too, they picked the right director all the way. Because Joe Johnson, if you're familiar with him at all, I have some of his things, his achievements here that I think were very applicable. Also, the fact that he directed The Rocketeer, that alone makes perfect sense.
Love The Rocketeer.
Because how similar are they? Both time period pieces, both feeling very nostalgic, glowy, dreamy vibes. Because I always, whenever I watch, when I was watching Captain America this time, I was thinking about it, how much especially in the first act, everything feels like it has this they put on the haze filter on all the cameras
and sepia tones.
Everything
right.
feels old. Everything feels like you're watching it's like AI bringing those pictures of your loved ones that are dead for 100 years back to life.
Yeah,
that's kind of what it's
or
like.
You go to a fair and you go one of the Wild West photograph places.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. But and he also did. He was also a concept artist and effects technician for the original Star Wars trilogy.
Wow.
And director on Raiders of the Lost Ark, and co-designer of the Millennium Falcon and Boba Fett. So he had some, and he still put a resume.
For sure. Still put those damn wings on the hat.
Yeah, but you had to get the Captain America we wanted later. I mean, they were setting us up. They put the bar low. So, and what's funny about this too is and this happens more than once in the MCU, which is that you'll have a writer come on, especially in the early days. You have a writer come on to write an entire script, and then it completely gets changed or thrown out when the movie actually starts, or when they start really putting pre-production together. And that's exactly what happened with this. There was a guy named David Self who wrote an entire script, and it got completely thrown out. And they hired Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely to write the script, and rewrite it, I should say. And it was their first MCU assignment, but they would go on. This is another one of those game changers for MCU, and you don't even realize it. How many people know this story? I didn't know it until I read it, which was that this may have been their first MCU movie. They got brought in after the fact just to be can you guys, I don't know how bad the script was before. Maybe it just didn't work. Maybe, I don't know. But they ended up going on to write Thor: The Dark World. We'll get there. Captain America: Winter Soldier. Very strong. Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame.
Oh, so they did okay.
They did okay for themselves in the old MCU saga. That's right. Yeah, they became basically the backbone of the entire saga. So, but the key decisions they made: use Hydra instead of the Nazi Party as the main villain, to avoid the film becoming a straightforward World War II movie. The use of the Tesseract, which was already set up in Thor, as the MacGuffin.
Which is not a term we've talked about on this podcast.
We have not. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, you're going to technically know this term better than me, but a MacGuffin is the kind of reason we're all here.
Yeah,
it's the Holy Grail. It's the Tesseract. It's what's the Mad World, where they're chasing down the X of palm trees to go find the box of money.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Did you see the remake called Rat Race?
Yes.
So there's an original to that called It's a Mad World.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
exact same story.
Okay.
Anyway, so
Rat race. It's a race. It's a race.
my favorite line in that is where he's like, it's Rowan Atkinson, Mr.
course.
B. And he's like, oh, little cock doggies. And they're like, no, it's cocktail weenies. And he says, oh, cocktail weenies. My English is not so good.
I forgot all about that quote. That's a good quote.
Yeah, that's right.
Cock doggies.
Little cock doggies.
That's so good.
Yep. Why don't you? So what I know of a MacGuffin, it's the Infinity Gauntlet. It's the thing that's driving everybody towards the story.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. That's what I know of it. I don't know
Right.
much more.
Yeah.
I don't know like the history behind it or anything. I probably should. Maybe we'll bring it up later.
Some guy
episodes.
named MacGuffin. He's real mad that nobody knows it's his story.
And he's like, and I'm the whole reason we're
The
here.
only reason we have the word MacGuffin is because I'm MacGuffin.
It's like a meta thing. It
He's
just
like,
keeps
I'm
going
the
deeper.
MacGuffin.
I'm the MacGuffin.
In
Literally.
MacGuffin. That's right. He's smoked way too much weed.
Yeah.
And he's like, guys, I'm MacGuffin. We're like, yeah, we know MacGuffin. No. I'm MacGuffin.
I am the MacGuffin.
Do you understand?
We know.
It's like, yeah, we got it. Thanks. It sounds a lot more
my
profound
God.
to you when you're high.
Yeah. Some other things that they decided in this movie to keep us going forward. They cast Howard Stark as a young ally to bring the Tony Starkness of it all to the movie, which I think worked.
I mean, that also sets up Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really good to go ahead and go, wait a minute. This isn't the first Stark that it's not Winter Soldier, it sets up Civil War.
Yeah.
Because this isn't the first time he's interacted with a Stark. You know what I mean? Like, it's important.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's great.
They also deliberately avoided the 60s and 70s comic versions of Cap, keeping it rooted in the original Golden Age feel, which I think, because I guess the other, maybe that alludes to the fact that the other script probably covered decades.
Gotcha.
Which would have been interesting. I don't know.
Well, I think one of the coolest things I think they've done, and this is just really good writing. Any good TV film writer is going to know that the more hanging threads that don't have to be chased in the main story you leave, the more places you can come back to in a future story, right? Like, so our Cap is on ice, but then somehow we get Red Guardian talking about fighting Captain America in the 70s.
Right.
And then we get time travel. Well, who's going to go back in time? Obviously, Steve's going to go back in time. Now there's a conversation we can have.
That's a big old gutter moment when you think about it. Because what did he mean by that?
Right. I mean, he's talking
Unless
about...
he was lying.
Maybe.
He could have been... It would be in character.
Right.
Yeah.
Or, because Red Guardian should have a story about being Red Guardian before he's the father of the two
Where'd the
widows.
suit come from?
Right.
I mean, he had to have had a whole slew of stories.
So you get these great story opportunities, and then you send Captain America back in time?
Yeah.
Man, wouldn't it be great just to see like a
I want to
random
see a
moment?
Red Guardian movie.
I want to see Red Guardian versus Captain America.
And which captain was it?
Right.
Which cap?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, and that's the thing, too. It's a distinction because now we're going to just do a little rabbit trail here for a second, but that's a distinction that they make leading up to Doomsday. We'll go ahead and keep that in the forefront of our minds here, that this is the road to Doomsday, is that they say that Steve, in the preview, says Steve Rogers will be back because he's not Captain America.
They didn't call him Captain America.
And so if they're going to make that distinction, then he couldn't have fought the Captain America in the 60s or 70s because it would have been Steve Rogers. I don't know. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, he wasn't, when he went back, he stopped being Captain America. It was the only way that to keep continuity within his own timeline.
Except in our trailers, we have him in a shop pulling out a uniform. The Doomsday trailers right now, the teasers that came out, we have a Chris Evans, Steve Rogers pulling a uniform out of a box in a wood shop.
Well, yeah, but that, for all we know, that's
a different time. Yeah, right.
It could be anything.
That's right.
It could be
well,
anything.
that's kind of my, that was the point I was making earlier about good writing.
Yeah.
Is that there's 1,000 different places they can go with that. And you're right. They said Steve Rogers is going to be back. And I'm wondering, are we going to see Captain Hydra? Are we going to see Nomad?
Yeah.
Are we going to see a version of, like a different universe version of Captain America?
I don't think he comes back as Captain America.
You don't think so?
No, I think that they purposefully put such a massive period at the end of that sentence that I don't think that he comes back. And that's
well, also, that would undo the story of Falcon and Winter Soldier in the mind of the viewer. Like, oh, there's only one Captain America. Obviously.
Not that I really give a shit, to be honest with you. I hated that storyline. I didn't mind the show itself, but like I am not bought into Sam Wilson being Captain America.
Me either.
And I think we've talked about this. If he doesn't take the serum, he is a guy in a flying suit. They gave him wings too. He's got it on his front of his thing and on his back.
2 sets of wings like a seraphim.
So stupid.
Yeah, so it's yes, I agree with you that if we could rabbit trail that, or it's going to come up in conversation when we start talking
we're going to
about
get there.
But we should get there in this movie. I felt like we needed more of the Howling Commandos in this movie. We needed more of them.
Sure.
I want to see the first scene of Age of Ultron where you got the team doing a thing. Mm-hmm. I want to see that with Cap and the Howling Commandos.
Sure. Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
I mean, it was basically, I have this in my the fizzle section, but for sure, like, it was a montage. We deserved more than a montage from them.
Right.
For sure. Agreed.
So talk me through what were the moments that really hit for you in this movie, and we just kind of walk through them one at a time.
There's one thing that will always stick with me. It just holds a special place in my heart. I can do this all day.
Yeah, that's my first one. But it's funny because
I knew it would be. I knew it'd be both of our first.
Well, but it wasn't originally because I didn't catch it.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't catch it right then. I didn't catch it until I went back to it. After he says I can do this all day 7 or 8 times.
How many times have you seen this movie? Is this no way this is just your second time?
No, I've seen it a few times. I don't know though. I don't know.
Okay. Just
but
curious.
What I did see, obviously, as a nomad into this story, not having seen it before, he gets in a fight in an alley and he picks up a trash can lid, and I'm like, oh yeah, you see what they did there? Even I caught that.
Sure.
And that's a good moment for the writers to know that like a retail viewer, non-comic book enthusiast, saw that and went, Captain America's coming.
Yeah.
But then the I can do this all day moment. Come on, fellas, I can do this all day. That I didn't pick up on it being a big deal until after I go through the entire Infinity Saga. And then I go back and watch it again, and I'm like, oh, there it is. Yeah, he can do this all day.
Yeah. I mean, and it becomes a whole thing. It's just like, I mean, even in Endgame when he fights himself and he's like, I know.
That's right.
Which
is
is
a great scene.
Great humor. That's a great use of humor.
That is America's ass. That is America's ass.
Oh, it's so good. That line returns in Civil War. It returns at Endgame. It's, they acknowledged it as a moment that they could reuse and harken back to that back alley, which I think is, that's the defining moment of Skinny Steve being something more than he was always meant to be, something more than what he was.
How funny would that be if that's the Steve Rogers they bring back?
That's a Deadpool type thing they would do for sure. We're gonna get Captain America, and instead it's Skinny Steve.
That's right. And Deadpool needs to be in that scene and be like, "What? This is the Rogers you brought out?
Yeah,
Fox, how little did you pay for?" You're right. Whatever. That's a great movie.
Oh man, on the Skinny Steve part of that, the Skinny Steve of it, we can talk about that for a second, because pre-serum Steve Rogers is supposed to be a 90-pound asthmatic from Brooklyn, right? Who can't pass the Army physical, but Chris Evans is built like a superhero. And this is something where I've always been kind of fascinated with how they created Skinny Steve. It's just interesting because they did a pretty good job. I mean, the effects hold up well, and they couldn't just de-muscle him digitally for a few scenes. So the production shot pre-serum scenes 4 separate times in 4 different ways to give the VFX team enough material to work with.
Wow.
And then an LA company called Lola Visual Effects did what they would like to call digital plastic surgery and shrunk Evans in post, reducing him in all dimensions to create the frail Steve. The result, I really think, holds up surprisingly well. I would love to see some behind the scenes of like how that actually happened. I want the book version as a documentary.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why nobody's done that yet.
Docuseries, probably.
It'd have to be. Yeah. It'd have to be a docuseries for sure. But to see all these people talking and like all these interviews and stuff, somebody would have to go back and do it all again. But it would be worth it. It would be amazing. Maybe we're leading up to that because the whole thing's about to reset anyway. So.
That's right.
Maybe that's what we'll get post Secret Wars is like a documentary that documents like all of the first, original MCU and
just in time for me to retire and be an old man, I'm going to see a movie trailer for freaking Iron Man.
Yeah.
Just start it over.
Oh god,
It's gonna be Timothy Chalamet.
God, I hope not. Oh, I love Timothy Chalamet.
That's right.
Timothy.
Timothy.
Nobody knows how to say his name. I saw a funny interview with him just the other day where somebody was like, it's Timothy, right? Or Timotei. And he was like, it's whatever you want it to be. Call me Doug.
That's right. I don't care.
And I was like,
anymore.
I can appreciate that. I don't like, he doesn't give a shit.
That's right. Yeah.
Let's switch to you. What was your next pull list moment?
So this one's one that, when we talk about the pull list, the idea is like moments that hit scenes that kind of made you feel something.
Right.
And that doesn't necessarily.
And how maybe it ties back to your life or not.
Right. And it's not necessarily a positive thing.
Right.
So a scene that hit for me is this whole selling the bonds moment.
Sure.
Because I wasn't.
That hit me differently this time than any other time I've watched it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it hit me hard the first time I saw it because I was just out of the military.
Yeah.
I got out in 2007. This thing releases in 2011. But now looking back, rewatching this, going, oof, man. And for a couple things, there's obviously the every bond you buy is a bullet in your best guy's gun, right? That's like, okay, well, all right, I get it. I know how wars.
I love some alliteration.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it does make my
it tickles
my brain.
The brain. Yeah,
like,
for sure.
That's fun. But what you're seeing, and so like when I was in the Navy, we were Operation Iraqi Freedom, Enduring Freedom. The number I'm about to say is non-classified. It's not a secret.
Well, that's good.
But that also means it may not be true, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, fair. Yeah.
Right. So that when I say it's non-classified, non-secret, it could just be bullshit.
Yeah.
But we were told that it costs on average $1 million a day to operate an aircraft carrier. Let's not build one. Let's not put machine guns on it. None of that. It's just have it on.
Yeah.
And the people on it cost $1 million.
What part of that would you think would be a lie? You think it's more?
I think it's too low.
Yeah,
I think it's more than that. Yeah,
that's probably true.
And there were at the time 14 active carriers out to sea almost at all time. And so we're sitting here rolling $14 million a day for nothing.
And this was a while ago. New carriers are doing
ridiculous.
anything, even crazier things.
Yeah, right. This is 2001 and 2004. So
Yeah.
so this is definitely. We've had 22 years of inflation. This number's not the same anymore.
Right.
My point is, wars are expensive, and even if they're just wars, which they aren't always, but even if they're just wars, they're really expensive. So this whole like manipulating the populace to buy the debt of the country so that they can then send bullets to the guys so they can go shoot stuff. Man, it would be one thing if I were super pro-war. I'd be like, oh, hell yeah. But I'm not.
Right.
And so now I'm watching the thing going like, or hear me out, guys. We bring our guys home.
Yeah.
We end the war as quickly as possible and bring our guys home, right? Because there's also a lot of profiteering that happens in war, and you see that. Anytime, but all the Iron Man movies, of course, anytime there's weapons manufacturing happening, you're seeing profiteering coming off of the engine of war.
And if you're being astute watching this and seeing Howard Stark and knowing he's working in with the military and developing all of these things, you know that's in the background. Like
That's right.
Howard Stark represents a piece of that because that's what becomes his legacy.
Yeah. And then you get the scene where Captain America's sitting in front of the GIs.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to go, what does he say? Like,
I'm going to
punch
Who wants to see me go sock
Hitler
Hitler in the jaw?
Yeah, in the jaw. And, those guys are like, we're actually doing the work here.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, he was a super soldier and should have been doing the work, but he wasn't. And so that sense of, like, on the one hand, the USO does great work with forward deployed military. They send these really, awesome shows. While I was out to sea, this is true, we actually got to watch the Super Bowl on the mess decks, or on the in the hangar bay. They set up a massive screen, 2 sets of stands, and they brought out, like, I think it was the Jaguars cheerleaders. I don't remember. It was I actually, I was on watch. I didn't actually get to go to the thing, but yeah, they had like professional cheerleaders, and they had O'Douls because we're out to sea, so we can't drink alcohol. But though some guys were trying, they were trying. Yeah, so they had near beer and near beer cheerleaders, and they and then they had
because the real ones were on the screen.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
They were the Super Bowl
They weren't the Cowboys cheerleaders.
Yeah,
they weren't the Super Bowl cheerleaders.
Right.
It was the Carolina Panthers cheerleaders. Right. So it's like the JV team of the professional cheerleaders. I'm so kidding. And if anybody in the like, if we end up getting hate mail from the Carolina Panthers cheerleaders, be great.
That's
Please
a great thing for our show.
Yeah, I mean,
it says we're doing really well.
We're crushing it. Yeah. Anyway, that scene there hit me with a like, I want the marketing engine of the U.S. government to go the hell home. And let's finish the war, do our job, and go home.
Yeah.
And that was much. I mean, when I watched this movie again in 2026, I really felt that way. And by the way, that was before we bombed Iran. It's like where we are today. I'm like, well, what are we doing? And this movie hits that for me. That scene where he's trying to hoorah the guys doing the work. Mm-hmm. That's like, that is not Steve Rogers' fault.
No,
that's not his
put
fault.
Into a terrible situation.
That's right.
Where he had basically been brainwashed and built up to this moment where it's like, it's definitely going to land well with all of these soldiers.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I do love that part of the development of that montage or that series of scenes where you're like, at first he's barely able to read it, he doesn't know what he's saying, and then at the end of it he's into it, and then he realizes he shouldn't be.
Right. Yeah.
That's right.
He was reminded of what he really wanted to do.
Yeah. So that one hit really hard for me. It was a moment where I was like, oh, that's just, it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. You're supposed to cringe.
Yeah.
And I cringed hard.
Yeah, for sure.
About you?
The serum scene and just Dr. Erskine. Which was kind of like Stanley Tucci, amazing job. Love Stanley Tucci. I see Stanley. I watched his whole like docu-series about what's it called, Finding Italy, and I watched that right before I went to Italy for the first time. And
oh wow.
So now it holds a special place in my heart, and so does Stanley Tucci. So right. But seeing him again in this movie was so great, and I really feel like he's the heart of the story in so many ways. Yeah. He saw something in Steve that nobody had gotten to see yet, and he recognized that he held an opportunity that could actually do some good. And it's like we're back in the cave scene all over again.
Yeah, that's right.
It's kind of the same kind of character. Yeah, with Jensen. Yeah, very so similar. It's a very similar character, and so I love that for sure. And his conversation with Steve the night before the procedure, the serum amplifies everything that is inside. So good becomes great, and bad becomes worse, is the clearest statement of the entire film's theme. Because you see. What do we see? We see Red Skull being that everything that was bad in him, the power, the like trying to conquer, became amplified, and then you have Steve. It's just an interesting story. That's about we'll get to the next part. That's about the end of my end of my praise of Red Skull.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah,
but
did you? I'm sure you've heard the old. It's like I think it's often attributed to indigenous American population. But it's the fable about the two wolves.
Remind me.
Yeah, there's a dark wolf and there's a light wolf. There's a good wolf. There's a bad wolf.
Sure.
And, which one wins? Whichever one you feed. It was really interesting. That gets played out here.
Yeah.
And honestly, it worked for the movie.
Yeah.
But it did sort of mystify something that like it turned it into this mystical change instead of a scientific change. It's you don't actually catch the mechanics of how that happened. It's like some kind of magic.
I guess I kind of took it as like if somebody's given suddenly a lot of authority,
right,
or a lot of money,
yep,
it amplifies what is in you.
That's right.
Either way.
That's right.
And so I think I thought of it more or less mystically and more philosophically.
Sure. Actually, that's really fascinating because you're right. Depending on how we grow up and what we're given versus what we earn, what we have to work for, there's a sense of it doesn't really matter who's in place. A system will change people in the way that the system wants it to change.
Yeah.
Whether you are, male, female, rich, poor, doesn't matter. You get put into a particular system. About 85% of the time, this is a real number, I'm not making this up, but 85% of the time you'll act exactly like everyone else. Right? There's a pretty famous experiment out there called the beer game. Just go look it up later. But it didn't matter. It wasn't American. It wasn't international. It didn't matter. 8.5 out of 10 times, everybody acted the exact same way because the system was rigged.
Mm.
And there's a lot going on here with, you know, I mean, I don't know why 1940s German. I love that they made it Hydra and not the Nazi Party.
Sure.
Because it could really lead into feed into a lot of narratives around ethnic hate.
Yeah.
But there was also in that time period, there were a lot of atrocities that happened. Of course, 1960s during the Vietnam War, the Americans doing crazy things, you know, and fast forward into the Iraq War and Afghanistan, Americans are doing crazy things, committing war crimes, and to say nothing of 2026. And we have that sense that like what made these people do that?
Yeah.
Like, that was already inside of them,
Right.
and something fed it.
Mm-hmm.
And that in this case, it might be power, it might be money,
Sure.
yeah, it might be fraternity. I mean, what I have seen enlisted military members do just because so and so is my shipmate and I'm going to go do this because he needs this.
Yeah.
That sense of fraternity. We all wear the same uniform. I mean,
Police force.
Right.
Then the downsides of that. Yeah. Sure.
That's right. Yeah. And so there is a conversation to be had here about what happens when anyone is handed power, and we actually have a hero ideal.
Yeah.
Versus what might just be a normal person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
Yeah.
Red Skull might just be human who got the serum, whereas Steve is unique. Back to Erskine's like identification of a guy that can actually handle this serum.
Mm-hmm.
But we see that in every other weapon out there. All the Weapon 2, Weapon through 10, all the way to Weapon X, right?
Mm-hmm.
We watch these people with the super soldier serum or some version of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't always bring out the good. Captain America is kind of the only one that does that for.
Well, yeah, and we'll get into it in the next Captain America movie. But then the idea that you take somebody who is also good and maybe a little more normal and average than Steve, but Bucky was still good-hearted, and they had to brainwash the shit out of him to turn him into what he was.
That's right.
So Spark and Fizzle. I think these are short enough that we can just kind of go through ours. Do you want to take it first and just like go down some points of things you thought worked?
Yep. So as we kind of earlier mentioned, I did like the Howling Commandos, and I wanted more.
Yeah.
So even though earlier I said like I felt bad in the scene where he's selling bonds. I liked the scene.
Yeah.
I think it did the set of scenes. What it did was it made me want him to pop off.
Yeah.
Like it made me want him to go, dude, remember who you are and go do the thing you're meant to do. And of course
who did it?
That's yeah.
Agent Carter.
My next person. So I'm sure you know this, but there's the just beautiful scene. Haley, Ms. Atwell has. I'm sure I can call her Haley. She'll never hear this story. If she does, I hope I can call you by your first name, Haley. Yeah, that's right. I'll be happy to introduce myself to you by first name.
Please come be on our show.
That's right. We'd love that. We're going to talk about this scene specifically. So my understanding is there's that moment where she reaches over and she touches his chest. That was unscripted. That was her literally going, holy shit.
Yeah.
Because he's beautiful and he's coming off all sweaty and there's steam everywhere. And she literally was like,
yeah.
She
her face, I mean, it's great. It's a great
real
moment.
It's real. And my understanding is she's confirmed that was like, yeah, they didn't tell me to do it. I was just like,
I mean, it's fair. Look at him.
I'd have done it. I'd put both hands up. Anyway, so those were all Spark for me.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. I think that for me, what worked was I'm just going to kind of zoom out a little bit. Chris Evans as a whole.
Yeah.
I didn't say this earlier, but I wanted to come back to it just for this one thing that casting Steve Rogers nearly sank the entire project.
Oh, really?
Because Kevin Feige said casting Captain America was super hard and it took so long. It took a long time. I started to think, are we not going to be able to find Captain America? And if we can't get Captain America, what are we going to do with the Avengers? Is the whole thing going to fall apart?
Sure.
It almost wrecked, it derailed the MCU.
But that's exactly the point we made earlier.
Right.
Like he's the tank that you have to have.
Well, and he wasn't even considered in the beginning because he had already been in the Fantastic Four.
Oh, I was going to say, like, have you gone back and watched the Fantastic Four since you've seen him as Steve Rogers?
Yeah.
It was so much worse.
Way back in the day, but yeah.
So much worse. Man, I really like
He deserved that death in Deadpool.
That's right.
Well, Evans turned down the role multiple times.
Wow. Yeah.
Which is crazy. First, he had a 9-picture deal, and then it was a 6-picture deal. He even visited Marvel Studios just to make it clear that he wasn't going to change his mind. That seems a little. I think that sent mixed signals.
Sure.
You know, his fear said he said that, you know, I was scared, had social anxiety about the industry. His bigger concern was a 9-picture commitment meant no escape hatch if the movies were terrible. If all of a sudden you decide you don't want to do it anymore, you're afforded the opportunity to take a step back and recalibrate. But this didn't offer that, and so you know, and he feared the inverse. I can't believe I did this. This isn't the career I wanted. The biggest thing I was worried about, it was making, in his quote, to quote him, he was worried about making shitty fucking movies.
Yep.
And so, and you know what changed his mind? Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, wow.
Encouraged him. Marvel sweetened the deal with just bringing it down to 6 pictures. He saw a therapist. He said yes.
That's right.
But then even on set, he said, "This is it. I just signed my death warrant. My life's over."
Wow.
Oh, boy, was he wrong. And now it's like a character that, according to him, he holds, of course, very dear to it.
Sure,
of course. Changed his entire life.
Yep.
And we'll come back to that pool of people that were almost Captain America in just a second. But my other things, loved I loved the design of, like, the period design of the movie. I actually think that worked out really well. Loved Stanley Tucci as Erskine. We already went through that. Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter. And the ending worked really well for me.
Yeah.
This was maybe the first good third act we've ever had in the MCU up to this point, right? So it's just like, and I just think that Steve sacrificing himself and going into the ice, waking up in 2011, that's genuinely moving. It's one of those things that your brain starts to try to wrap around, of like, how would you handle that? Like, how would you wake up in a completely different timeline? You thought you died and sacrificed yourself, and now it's taken away from you. You're now back. It's 70 years later. Yeah. The last 10 minutes of the film was punching above the rest of its weight.
I completely agree. The things that connected to me the most were in the third act. Or really, it's at the end of the very final scene. He wakes up. You know, one of the things we don't know in the MCU that's true in the comics, is my understanding, is that Steve Rogers has a photographic memory. He's really intelligent.
Yeah.
He's not, you know, Stark intelligent, but he's still intelligent.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, because in Avengers later, he's going to be like, it appears to be running on some kind of electricity. And like, yep, you got it, Cap. And it's like, again, like, you want to kind of scratch behind his ears and be like, thanks, Grandpa.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you've got
Right,
that in that moment. You're like, well, I can't respect him at all. But he wakes up and he remembers, like, completely, he remembers the baseball game immediately. He's like, I know that this is, because I was at that game. So I couldn't be listening to it on the radio.
And also, too, it wasn't that long ago for him.
Right. That's right. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
That's right. And then
He's like, this was like only like 15 years ago for me.
That's right. Yeah. So that scene, and then you know, kind of that final line, like, I had a date. That I was like, oh man, that was really good. I got the payoff there. It's good.
That brings me to my fizzles. Evans and Atwell have chemistry. Don't, you know, as we said earlier, palpable. I'll give them that. But the film doesn't give them enough time together before it's over. So the emotional weight of their loss relies more on the idea of like what they could have had.
Yes.
Than anything fully developed on screen.
Totally.
So in rewatching it again, I caught that and picked up on that a lot more. I was just like, damn, they really fell for each other without falling for each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, without having the chance to fall for each other. It's kind of wild how they were just, I mean, I guess she did get to know him probably more. She got to know him a lot more than he got to know her. You know, he's purely going off of just his loins.
And adrenaline.
Adrenaline, yeah, sure.
You're right. There's that moment where the other girl flirts with him and she kind of like gets mad about it. And I have to make up in my head, there was a previous scene where they were like sharing, where Carter and Rogers are sharing a moment together romantically, because otherwise, why would she be jealous?
Right.
He's just a test tube right now.
Right. Well, and also too is that scene didn't sit right with me watching it this last time, because he gets into that kiss for a split second.
Not even a split second. He gets into the kiss.
Yeah,
good for him.
But
I mean,
it's just funny because it's in direct contradiction to his moral. Like, right. It's kind of funny, his character.
But that also plays out that we didn't, to your statement of the fizzle, we did not get and it could have been a runtime thing, but we really didn't get the story of why Peggy and Steve fell for each other.
Right.
It's just sort of accidental. And then next thing you know, it's supposed to matter a lot to us.
Yeah.
And it didn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Hugo Weaving is Red Skull.
You didn't like it?
He's clearly doing his job, but the character is underwritten. He's a pure comic book villain in a film that earned more complexity elsewhere, I think.
Okay.
Like well, watching it this last time, I was just like, God, he's just such a cliche in every way whatsoever. And that also kind of brings me to one of my other fizzles, which is the Tesseract as the MacGuffin, because it works as connective tissue to Thor and the broader MCU, but Red Skull's actual plan, which is world domination via energy weapons, is pretty thin. I mean, he's a means to an end, not a genuine dramatic threat. And we hadn't seen a real threat yet.
Right.
I think, to think that we go from Red Skull as the last villain we see, and then the next thing we see is the Chitauri and Thanos and Loki, or the hint of Thanos with Loki. Which
I think the word's Chitauri, but we'll go with it.
You're right. It is Chitauri.
That's right.
I wonder what Chitauri is.
It sounds like a R&B soul singer.
Chitauri. You're
Coming
right.
up next on the stage is Shikari. Yeah.
Shikari.
Yeah, that's right.
Shikari.
Shikari. That's right.
Sounds like a type of tree.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's not what I heard. I heard a saxophone start playing immediately. Yes, I think that my biggest fizzle by far, the fizzles in this movie were things I wanted more of. Right? Like I wanted more Howling Commandos. I wanted more of Agent Carter. And the biggest thing, I'm with you, man, was I feel like Red Skull was a miss. I wanted him to take his face off way earlier in the movie. I wanted him to be a red-faced skull doing Red Skull stuff.
Yeah.
And what we got instead was a quasi-Nazi for most of the movie.
Yeah.
And like instead of it being the Tesseract to tie it back, it could have been the Cosmic Cube. I'm going to rewrite reality so that Hydra, like there was a lot that could have been done.
They didn't want us to know what it was yet, though.
Right. That's right. But and I guess they always could have rewritten it. Could have retconned it to be the same. But I wanted to see Red Skull really get his, again, take the mask off earlier, get into a real fight.
Yeah.
And also the scene, I'll tell you the one scene that wasn't even a fizzle, it was a fuck this scene. It was
okay.
When Red Skull says, not to scratch, Professor, whatever his name, or Dr. Zola, not to scratch. And then Zola's driving the Rolls Royce. I'm sure you've seen it, the old 101 Dalmatians.
Oh, yeah.
Where Cruella de Vil is driving crazy. It was like a direct copy of that fucking scene. And I'm like, this just went from serious World War II to a disappointing villain to freaking cartoons.
All right, we're going to land this plane. We're going to talk about the road not taken / a multiverse of sorts. So, because I have a few things to say, and then we're gonna land this plane and move on to the next episode.
Well, actually, we're gonna put it in the water.
That's
that was
good job.
That was fun for me.
That's a good one. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about some what ifs, some alternate timelines. What if? Hear me out. Wolverine and Magneto had cameos because they were alive during that time.
Oh yeah.
So wouldn't that have been cool?
Oh my gosh, cool. To have Fassbender show up is like.
Well, that would have been. Yeah.
But I mean, obviously they didn't own Fox at the time. But could you imagine? Because we got a concentration camp survivor.
Right.
Oh my gosh, that would be so good.
That would have totally destroyed their Hydra versus Nazis.
That's right. It would have gone right back to Nazis.
But they were a part of the early discussions.
Really?
To make cameos, yeah. But of course, Fox owned X-Men.
Yeah, that's right.
That probably no deal was reached. Cameos didn't happen. With the Disney-Fox merger complete, this would be possible now. And maybe in Avengers Secret Wars, maybe that's where it happens.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe where it finally happens. Or, I mean, we know that it happens in Doomsday.
Well, yeah, and we got Ian McKellen coming in.
Right.
Yeah, so for sure we've got some Magneto.
Yeah, which is crazy.
We've got the wizarding world of Gandalf Nito.
Yeah. What if John Krasinski had been cast as Captain America?
Oh my gosh.
Jim from The Office.
Oh, man.
Like, just for a second, let's imagine Jim from The Office in spandex saying, "Who wants to see me sock old Hitler in the jaw?" Or Adolf. It's Adolf.
Adolf
in the jaw.
Oh my gosh, it would be so much cringier.
Oh, it would be
because
that would have been like your first Incredible Hulk.
That's
I'm never gonna stop hating on that movie.
Hate it all you want, my man. It's good. It's good, brother. Yeah. So one, I have now. To be fair to John Krasinski, did you see 13 Hours? The movie 13 Hours, where he plays a Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So we got 2 payoffs in that movie. The first one is John Krasinski's a bad motherfucker in that movie, and then 2, he got to say the F-bomb.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
That's when he got ripped, right?
Oh, dude, so ripped. So he got ripped. I loved a couple of things about this movie. One was that Jim really kind of went. Jim from The Office goes through like a bunch of stuff and doesn't really cuss a lot, doesn't lose his mind, doesn't lose his cool.
It's true.
And then you've got
except for when he gets hit in the face with a snowball. What the hell, Dwight?
great. Yeah, that's right. Okay, that's enough. He's like scared going out to his car. So yeah, I mean, it occasionally happens, but not a lot. And so what you have now is like, same with Steve Carell in Space when he played in Space Force, and he got to say the word motherfucker really loud because it was TVMA. We bring him in. We bring John Krasinski into an R-rated film about war.
Yeah.
And you get the most powerful use of the F word I have ever experienced is whenever he leans forward to the analyst and he goes, "Get in the fucking truck."
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the only F word he says the whole movie.
Yeah. Very unrealistic for military scenes.
Right. Well, maybe.
Everybody's ever known in the military, yourself included, uses a extensive amount of vocabulary or of profanity in your vocabulary.
Yeah, I mean, some of us do. I didn't say all of us do. What you learn really quickly in the military. This is a great little side note. You can keep it in or cut it out. What you learn in the military is you really have 3 kinds of people. You have the enlisted people. Officers are different, but in the enlisted, you have the soldiers of faith, and particularly post 2001. I'm actually in boot camp in early 2002, and you got the people in there that think they're doing God's work, and they are. Their language is clean. You see this up in Punisher with the one guy. Like, their language is clean. They believe they're doing the work of the Lord, right? Then you got the guys who believe they're nihilists. They just, whether they're atheistic or there's some kind of mysticism, but they just believe nothing matters. And whatever. And then you've got the cynics, and I was one of the cynics. And the cynics is somewhere in between. Like we know that this war isn't ordained by God. This war is ordained by somebody who wants oil rights to the nation. But what we also know is, like, we're going to have to go fucking do this.
Yeah.
Right? And so you get that. Anyway, so there are those guys walking around who are just, oh, shucks, and they don't like to use those swear words, but they're also lethal killers.
What if the 1990 Captain America movie had worked? Matt Salinger, yes, J.D. Salinger's son, played Cap in a $10 million film that went direct to video in the U.S., Red Skull was Italian in that version.
Oh, good. Yeah.
To avoid German protests, obviously.
Right.
The film is genuinely terrible. Its failure helped delay any serious Captain America adaptation for 21 years.
Honestly, though, butterfly effect, right? So that movie went really poorly, which tanked the IP, which put it up against a $525 million bet at Morgan Stanley to get us to Iron Man 1.
Morgan Stanley, you mean Merrill Lynch?
Merrill Lynch to get us to Iron Man 1.
Thanks, financial guy.
That's right, yeah. Hey, they're all the same to me.
That's fair. A bunch of white men with a lot of money.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah. Well, and Reb Brown, who was in the 79 TV version, and Salinger both received cameos in the First Avenger as a nod to their history with the character. I read that somewhere. I have no idea where they were, though.
They're like extra number 3.
You're right.
Sitting right next to the blow-up
one of the
doll.
people who died in a war scene back in the you don't even know. You don't even see them.
It's not even them. It's just like a cast of their foot, and
it's like in the scene where Steve is running through the city and he like pushes somebody over.
Or they're just one of the faces in the crowd in that super cringy scene.
Watching him.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
So the film's legacy. I mean, this left us with the moral foundation that would then dictate the future of the MCU.
That's right. It
hasn't been the same without Steve.
That's right. That's right. No, yes, it sets up the man out of time idea, which is both literally running out of time in the movie, then gets displaced from his own timeline, and then literally goes back in time.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing gets caught in movie one that we end up needing for the rest of the saga.
Yeah,
it's
true.
Yeah, and of course that's the Loki's first line to him. The soldier, man out of time, and you're like, he doesn't know how right he is right now.
Yeah,
so that's great. It does set up that Stark and Rogers have been doing this a long time. It's Howard, but he knows what to expect from a Stark, which kind of sets up that whole bias in our next episode, where he's like, hey, put on the suit, right? Like, take away the suit. What are you left? What are you left with? Which is his comeback is a great line there. But yeah. Anyway, that you can kind of set both of those up. This movie for me, again, not my favorite. I thought it was gonna be my favorite, but what I do think it does a really good job of is creating, as you said, a moral compass inside the MCU. We learn quickly to align to Steve Rogers.
Well, and not only that, but because I love any character story arc that involves the unraveling of one's character, in a way that exposes our own unraveling and our own deficiencies, right? And I think that every major conflict from the Avengers to Endgame is at some level about whether Steve Rogers' values can survive contact with a world that wants to compromise them.
That's right.
And the answer ultimately is yes. And the final image of Steve in Endgame, an old man on a bench, having lived a full life, passing the shield to Sam, is only earned because of the foundation that was laid. And it's the only reason. I mean, it's and to think that it's both Captain America and Iron Man that we have these two story arcs that get completed in the same movie and have completely different effects on us.
Right.
Because I don't cry when I see Captain America hand the shield over to Sam.
Right.
I cried when I saw Iron Man die. I literally cried. I still tear up.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I think it's because too, like, a part of me is knowing that chapter has ended.
Sure.
The same way that I had an emotional experience watching X-Men Days of Future Past. Like, I fully did not weep, but I cried in the theater watching, because it was a true, felt like a passing of a baton from the older character to the younger character. And maybe we'll get that in Secret Wars. I probably should bring tissues to that movie too. Probably.
That's right. Yeah.
But it's a great. I think the legacy is bigger than the movie. I think we can both agree to that.
That's right.
And it's something that sets such a tone and gives us that moral compass, and sets us straight up for the next one, which is Avengers.
Looking for this will close out phase one, and it's going to really begin to sort of lay that pointing us to the future of, hey, these stories are going to diverge, but we're going to keep having these touch points of them coming back together. And of course we get the major payoff for that in Endgame.
Yeah. But the next one we got is the Avengers.
That's right.
Phase one's payoff, as it were. 6 films, 5 years, and one team that they built in such a short amount of time. Goodness. It really was rushed when we look back at it. It's crazy. Right. Everything we built toward lands here, or doesn't land here. We'll talk about it in the next episode.
That's right.
We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks so much.
Make sure and go check out WonderBrosPod.com and join the Wonderkin.
Join on Discord.
On Discord, yeah. On Discord.
Discord.
Okay, we've been talking too long. See you next week. Okay, bye.